There is a clip of Donald Trump that went viral initially for a lighthearted, sort of silly reason. But as is so often the case, under the surface, there's something far more important and dark that people should be talking about when it comes to this, and now are. And this is sort of recirculating on that subject, which is good to see. So I'll play it for you, then we'll talk about who this guy is that Trump is having this goofy moment with, and it's not good.
I don't kiss men, but I kissed him.
Okay, so again, separate from the awkwardness of him sort of watch it on screen, and then I'm gonna smooch his neck. Why not? Which, you want to smooch a guy's neck, Trump? Well, as long as Melania is okay with it and the person you're smooching is okay with it, great, go for it. That's what we're all about here. But don't be so awkward about it would be one thing. And also, if you're gonna reserve and be very limited in which guys you do smooch, as he said there, I don't normally kiss guys, but I kiss him. Why choose such horrible, horrible people? And this is a part of a broader thing we're seeing with Trump, where at these rallies, he's bringing on stage so many, well, often convicted felons, as Joe Arpaio there is, and people with such low character. And if we don't already know Trump for who he is, we can learn from who he chooses to surround himself with, who supports him, who he supports, etc. So Joe Arpaio used to be a sheriff in Arizona, and that's where this event was being held. John Favreau wrote on X, Joe Arpaio bragged that his jails were concentration camps, set up live video feeds of women's holding cells, and the courts found that he violated the 8th Amendment ban on cruel and unusual punishment. Like Trump, he's a convicted felon who was pardoned by Trump. And Joe Arpaio, to this day, years after he was no longer sheriff, is costing Arizona taxpayers millions of dollars because of lawsuits that justifiably were brought against him. But again, the taxpayers are footing the bill. And this is because of his racial profiling, the actions mentioned here, vile stuff he's responsible for, and it's costing the taxpayers of Arizona money to this day. So this is not someone you should be proud to make an exception for when you bring out, I don't even know, whenever you choose to kiss a guy. Okay, so with that being said, these rallies have become, like I said, I think a chance for Trump to make himself not feel so lonely in being a criminal by associating himself with other criminals and alleged criminals. We covered this at one of his recent rallies.
Here as well as rapper Chef G. Does everybody know Chef? Where is Chef G? Where is he? Come on up, fellas. Rapper Sleepy Hollow. Come on up here, fellas. How are you, man? Hey. Oh, I like that. I want to get that done.
President Trump, man. One thing I want to say.
I've been expecting you. Yesterday, I asked you all to subscribe, and I just want to thank you. 10,000 people in one day, in 24 hours, subscribe to the channel. I worked for months back when I started the channel to get to 10,000 subscribers. One day. You are amazing. If you haven't yet, please click that subscribe button.
One thing I want to say, they always gonna whisper your accomplishments and shout your failures. Trump gonna shout the wins for all of us.
Yikes, except for all those that he wants to get retribution on. So there, I have to be fair, alleged criminals, they were indicted, they're currently being prosecuted for, and are out on bail for an alleged conspiracy to commit murder. Murder! The big one. And that's who he's proud to be endorsed by. You also have him bringing out registered sex offender Lawrence Taylor recently.
just want to say, I grew up a Democrat, and I've always been a Democrat.
And then something went horribly wrong and I started supporting Trump. We don't need to hear that again. But as a reminder, it's not just recently that he likes to surround himself with these sorts of low character individuals. He long has had this track record of people in his organizations who he's surrounded by being criminals. He has a lot of convicted felons surrounding him, as Colin Cowherd pointed out in something we covered.
Well, Donald Trump is now a felon. His campaign chairman was a felon. So is his deputy campaign manager, his personal lawyer, his chief strategist, his national security advisor, his trade advisor, his foreign policy advisor, his campaign fixer, and his company CFO. They're all felons, judged by the company you keep. It's a cabal of convicts. It's not that I'm not willing to vote.
Right. A cabal of convicts, as he called it, the party of law and order, baby. That's it. Now, because I played you a clip from this Turning Point USA event, I will play a few more clips.
Trauma hospital is over an hour and a half away. What can your administration do to give rural Americans better access to hospitals?
Well, we're going to be helping rural America. You know, rural America votes for Trump. There's nobody going to take that away. And we'll be helping. They've been building. We started a process for building hospitals and other things in rural America. And I'm going to keep that going. They ended it in the Biden administration.
Yeah, okay. So just every answer is they're going to vote for Trump. He got asked in a clip that we covered, what's your message to young Americans? And he went, vote for Trump. And then here, rural Americans, they vote for Trump. And yeah, we're going to do something. We're going to do something about that. Even though it's been Biden who has overseen massive investments in rural communities, specifically through his infrastructure projects, thousands and thousands of infrastructure projects across the country. So many of these investments being made in communities that have long needed it, often rural communities. But many in those communities, Trump is right, going to vote for Trump, even though it's against their interests. Then you have Trump saying this.
And the instructors talking English, and they have somebody speaking, in some cases, languages that we'd never even heard of. You know, there are a lot of languages that we don't have here. We have nobody that even speaks these languages. And they're sitting down in a school.
Yeah, this is, you kind of watch, especially because we have to cover, or we choose to cover, because it's important, so much Trump content, so many Trump speeches, interviews. And if you're an avid viewer, you watch this progression where he grabs onto these new talking points and then it becomes one of his favorites. So we've heard the list of they're coming from jails and mental institutions and a level above that, insane asylums. And now he constantly is saying this. Languages, we've never even heard of these languages. They're languages that aren't even languages. They're just, I don't even know. And it's so obvious and transparent that it's meaningless fear-mongering, dehumanization. Yes, there's bigotry going on, and it's supposed to rile people up, but it's not a level-headed policy conversation. If supposedly he's saying these things as a part of his argument relating to the southern border, then just ridiculous for him to act like he has any reasonable standards on the border, given that he's currently the one actively encouraging Republicans to obstruct border-related solutions. And this is an example of him putting the fearmonger, the dehumanization, above policy solutions. And also he's currently opposed to the executive order Biden just signed, just because he's against everything with Biden and would rather spend his time spewing garbage like that than talking about policy. Speaking of this same subject, here it is.
So they come up with this order. I won't say it because I don't like using the word bullshit in front of these beautiful children. So I won't say it. I will not say it. But this thing allows millions of people.
Yeah, so again, MAGA gets what at least many of them have been saying they sort of want when it comes to policy, and they're opposed to it. It doesn't matter. It's not about policy. I think for a lot of people, they not like, but crave that feeling that's evoked with the vile language we hear from Trump. And chasing that feeling becomes the priority and not engaging in a mature conversation about how to improve both the situation at the border and also make more effective, make better our immigration system at large. But that's not the conversation. And I would encourage MAGA to abandon this and join the rational conversation. It's much better over here than one more clip.
And I'll tell you what, we have to change the system. We have to straighten out what's going on in these courts. We got a rigged deal going this whole country, and we've got to do it. And those appellate courts have to step up and straighten things out, or we're not going to have a country any longer.
Yeah, and hoping that the outcome of his trial will be overturned on appeal. We'll see how that goes, of course. And I have heard a lot of MAGA folks say that proof of the riggedness of Trump's trial in Manhattan will be it being overturned. Okay, but if you're asserting that, then will you admit if the appeal is slapped down and the verdict is judged to be perfectly legitimate? Will you admit that maybe you're wrong? Oh, no, well, now that court's rigged. Okay, yeah, everything's rigged against Trump. He's always the victim, no personal responsibility, and no more dedication to the rule of law. We get it. Let me know what you thought of all that in the comments. And if you want to get the daily bonus show where I talk about more stories, I do a whole nother show, a little episode of extra stories. You can get that at the bonus show by clicking the join button below.